One of the subscribers to my channel asked me to put a little bit of a focus on the art that I have around my house. And in particular, I have this office at my house. It's not a big house, but I do have this office where I have a desk and I've got it sort of overflowing with Buddhist related statues and pictures and whatnot. And a lot of the pictures basically are things that, I've just either pulled out of books or taken photos of myself and had them framed. And some of the statues are simply things that I found at furniture stores or in, local antique shops or flea markets. But in any case, I'll use this video as an opportunity to share a few things and make some random comments about them in case you have any interest. The first thing I'll focus on is this piece of cloth that I have over the window in my office that has dyed into it the image of Buddha. And it's very colorful. You can see it right there. And as I transition to this other picture, you can see how it basically covers the curtain within the window of my office. Where I got this was in Asheville, North Carolina, which is near where I live. And there's a store there called Himalayan Imports. And the people who operate that store actually are from Nepal and go there from time to time or have connections whereby they can, import things to the United States and they sell them in this store. And so anyhow, I'm not going to give a real rationale as to why I put up certain things, but to me that's a pretty dramatic portrayal of the Buddha that gives me satisfaction. Going on from there over to the left of that window is a scroll of the Daimoku, which is Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And this particular rendering is quite dramatic, and I think it's probably from the Nichiren school rather than from the Soka Gakkai school, but some of you may have an opinion on that and can tell me. But as you know, and you'll see a little bit later, maybe even in this video, I greatly revere the Lotus Sutra, and particularly the teaching of expedient means and the teaching of the eternal life of the Buddha. And so this scroll kind of reminds me of my homage to the Lotus Sutra. I grew up in Detroit, and a lot of my family still lives in the northern suburbs of Detroit. And when I was up there visiting with them one time, I and Charlotte, my significant other, we went to visit a Holocaust museum in Southfield, Michigan. And there they were selling postcards as well as this poster of the phrase, "It is not enough to be compassionate, you must act." And what this is a quote from the Dalai Lama. And I thought it was particularly meaningful and something that I wanted to put up on the wall. What you see here is actually a photo that I took in a book, and what it's a photo of is the stele, I guess you'd call it, or the wall hanging. I think what they did in the Freer Gallery up in Washington, D.C. is they actually acquired this huge stone sculpture that's very thin but very wide and tall that has all these various images of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And it's my understanding that this came from a cave in China. So one time when we were in Washington, D.C., I was able to spend a good long time in front of that wonderful sculpture and took many pictures of it. And one of my videos, you'll see photos, close-up photos of the various bodhisattvas that are depicted in it. Here, of course, is what's called a Rego painting. This is on a scroll, this particular one, and it's not necessarily the best of the breed, so to speak, but this is a very meaningful kind of thing for me. I'll tell you, this was more from the Jodo or Pure Land school of Buddhism prior to Shinran. And at that time, my understanding was that the belief was that a person, if they said the Nembutsu right at the time of death, then Amida would come and Kuan Yin would hand the person this lotus throne upon which they would be reborn into the Pure Land. I think that the Rego type paintings were given less importance in Jodo Shinshu or True Pure Land Buddhism because there again in Shin Buddhism we have the assurance of rebirth that's not dependent upon us continuously saying the name Namo Amida Butsu. But in any case, I gain great comfort from looking at these Rego paintings, thinking about the fact that, when I die, Kuan Yin will be there. Kuan Yin will be there with the lotus throne for me to be reborn on and whisk me, if you will, back to the Pure Land. Here you see a photo of Reverend Kenryo Tsuji. And if you listen to the podcasts that I've been developing, the first couple of them focus on Reverend Tsuji, who was a mentor of mine. My podcast is on the Podbean app. I think it's called akala.podbean.com. But in any case, Reverend Tsuji was Bishop of the Buddhist Churches of America. And after he retired, he came out east because most of those BCA churches are out on the West Coast. He came out east to establish a church in the Washington, D.C. area, namely Ikoji Temple. And he also did a lot of outreach and came down here to the south where I live and visited with me as well as a couple of other folks down here who became acquainted with and committed to Shin Buddhism sort of on the basis of our own study and awareness of it through sources other than having a local temple that we could attend and learn from. What you see here is a photograph of Kuan Yin within the grotto that I have out in the wooded lot next to my home. And if you want to learn more about that or see more images of it in the playlist that I label something like My Stupa or something along that line. The guy who did this for me had incredible skills in terms of doing stonework, and it's quite lovely, quite beautiful, really. And I really like to think about Kuan Yin, the regarder of the cries of the world, sort of having a local residence here in this small town and being available to hear our cries, hear our pleas for assistance as we face various sufferings in the world. This guy, of course, is a Kala or a Chala. This is a photo of a photo, and I've got it sort of above the closet door here. Just took a picture of it. But this phrase is the kind of thing that, my understanding, it exists in Zen temples around the world, where it says, "Wake up, life is transient, swiftly passing. Be aware, the great matter. Don't waste time." So it's a way, as I would think of it, of helping people to snap into an awareness of the here and now, which is, in many senses, the only reality, since the past is gone and the future has not yet come about. This, of course, is a photo of Shinran Shonen. This is a classic photo, and I've just got it taped to the top of a scroll there. There's a little bit more of a close-up of this classic drawing of Shinran. This is one of many Jizo Bodhisattva stone sculptures that I have.
The unsurpassed, profound, and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of eons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning.